I sold everything, all of the nice things that I have. People are so much more than how much money they have. After that, I was like, I don't need any of these things. As soon as I gave my life to Jesus, I was like, none of this stuff matters. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name is Adrienne. I post videos on all things investing and personal finance. I've talked in several previous videos about just my experience with money and finding my identity in it and just idolizing material things. People have asked me if I could just talk about my story. And today I'm filming a little bit of a different video, and that is just completely telling you my story with money. This is more of a vulnerable video for me to make because if you guys have seen any of my previous videos, like I always see money as something that's important and a tool that is important to have, but it's not my identity and it's not where I find my value, but that hasn't always been the case. And so in this video, I'm gonna be walking you through a little bit of that story. I've got my tea. I guess starting out, I've talked a little bit about my family. I grew up with one brother and then my mom and my dad. And one thing about growing up when I was younger that I think was a lot different than most families was that my parents were extremely open about talking about finances. As much as I'm interested in personal finance and investing, my dad is even more so, and I think I learned a lot about that whole world through my dad. I think because of his passion for it, it was always something that they talked about in a very healthy way, and that really led me to believe and to understand that talking about money within a family, especially within a marriage, is very, very important. I don't know the exact statistic, but one of the main reasons for divorce in America is finances, or personal finances, or disagreements over finances. I will note that I studied chemical engineering in college. Both of my parents are also both chemical engineers. My brother is also a chemical engineer. We're just one big family of chemical engineers. That being said, on top of them being engineers and them managing their money very wisely, for lack of a better word, like I wouldn't say growing up like we were struggling. Like we were probably like upper middle class. My parents also got married much older. My dad was 40 when he got married to my mom, and he was 45 when he had me. So there was a lot of time for him to build up like a stable, not reservoir of money, but he didn't have a family that he needed to spend a ton of money on. And so knowing him, he just saved a lot of it. So that set him up very well, like going into having a family. So both of my parents, they met at work, and then my dad worked there for a little while, and then he did the calculations and he determined that he could retire and he would be fine just living off of the interest of the investments he had made. And knowing my dad, like he's very trustworthy when it comes to finances. He ended up retiring when I was in 5th grade. So he was 55, I was 10 years old. So most of my life, my dad has been retired. I'm about to turn 26, so my dad's been retired for almost 16 years. And I remember I was 10, I was in 5th grade in 2005, and a couple years later the recession hit. I think I knew that things were bad. Like I knew the economy, even being that young, I knew that it wasn't good what was going on. But I remember like right after my birthday, all of the birthday money that I had gotten, all of the gift cards that I had gotten, I remember putting it all in a bag and I gave it to my dad because I said I wanted to help. I very distinctly remember him saying, he was like, I really appreciate that, but like we're doing okay. Like we don't need that. And I think that healthy environment of being able to talk about money really set me up to where I am today. I will also say my mom immigrated here from Vietnam during the Vietnam War. So she has a crazy story. Back in Vietnam, she didn't have a ton of money, and she is to this day, I think, very frugal and cheap, for lack of a better word, because of how she grew up, and she doesn't know how to not be like that. So growing up, regardless of whether the fact my parents were doing fine financially or not, they were always very wise with their money. I always thought we just didn't have any money at all because I felt like when we went to the store, we were always looking for like the cheapest thing. Or growing up, I think because of the fact that my parents were very frugal and they were just very wise with their spending, I learned that from watching them. And one of the books that I enjoyed reading was by Rachel Cruz, who is Dave Ramsey's daughter. The book was called Smart Money, Smart Kids. So it's all about teaching your kids like smart money habits. And one of the things she says, which I think is applicable to really anything, not just finances, but she says that more is caught than taught by your kids. Your kids are going to learn more by watching you, the parent, than what you tell them. For me, that really showed in how I now manage my money because I learned a lot just from watching my parents. And I think there's a lot of ways you can teach your kids the value of the dollar. Like I think Dave Ramsey talks about it one way, but I think really just watching my parents manage money, that showed me what the value of the dollar is and how to manage money and how to budget. The most important thing that I think my parents gave me wasn't money or things, it was how to manage my money. It's like that saying that's like, give a man a fish and he will eat for a day, teach a man to fish and he will eat for his lifetime. Is that the quote? Something like that. The most important thing my parents did was teach me how to manage my money and teach me how to be disciplined in my spending. I would say that was a lot of what I learned up until I was 18, and then really it was when I went to college that it was the first time that I was on my own. And so when I was 18, I went to college. I actually went to NC State, which is North Carolina State University in Raleigh. I went there for my freshman year, and then I ended up transferring to Virginia Tech. Being in college was really where I started to understand how money works, because a lot of it before that was just me watching my parents. So when I was in college, I was studying engineering, and all I really remember in college was studying. All I remember doing was studying because my classes were so hard. I remember my junior year of college, my professors called my spring semester of my junior year, they called it hell semester because we were taking 5 of the hardest chemical engineering classes. I remember not sleeping like at all that semester. When I get really stressed out, I get eczema really badly. So my eczema was bad. I was breaking out on my face. It was just bad. so bad. Throughout all of that, I also minored in math and I tutored math when I was in college. I also worked at Express, the store, when I was in college. And I think it was probably like junior year of college, maybe sophomore year, that I really became like obsessed with luxury items, specifically like luxury handbags. I had a Louis Vuitton luggage. I had a few Louis Vuitton handbags. I had a lot of Tory Burch handbags. And I remember I would watch YouTube videos on handbags like nobody's business. On YouTube, there's like a whole community of people who unbox luxury handbags. I would watch those all the time and I would just keep wanting like the next best thing. I was in no place to be buying things like that. I realized that no matter how many bags I got, it was never enough. Like I kept wanting the next best thing. As soon as I got something, I was like, all right, that's cool. I want something else now. And it was never fulfilling for me. I would say the end of my junior year was when I gave my life to Jesus Christ. I had been going to Bible studies throughout college and I went to church and nothing really clicked. I never truly understood that Jesus died on a cross to save me from my sins so that I could have eternal life with him in heaven. Like I didn't fully comprehend that until the end of my junior year. Spring semester of my junior year was that really hard semester. And that was when I was buying like a lot of nice handbags. It was the end of my junior year that I gave my life to Jesus. And after that, I was like, I don't need any of these things. It was kind of like that story in the Bible. I don't remember where it is, but it's when Jesus asks them if they want to follow him, that they have to go sell everything they have. It was kind of like that for me. As soon as I gave my life to Jesus, I was like, none of this stuff matters. I don't need any of these things. Like my relationship with Jesus Christ is the most important thing, and nothing is going to fulfill me the way he fulfills me having a relationship with him. And so the worth and fulfillment I was trying to find in like honestly handbags, I've quickly understood that that wasn't going to work. So what I did after I got saved is I sold all of them. I sold all but I think 3 small things that I have. I have like one little Tory Burch bag, one little Louis Vuitton bag, and another like Louis Vuitton wallet. And I kind of kept those more for sentimental reasons. I almost never wear them. I sold everything, all of the nice things that I have. Honestly, I sold a lot of things that I kind of wish I didn't sell because I think they would be really useful, but I was just such in the mindset of like, I don't need anything. I don't need any physical items. Like at that time, I also read Marie Kondo's book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. I read that and I was like, oh shoot, I don't need anything. I need a backpack of stuff and I'm done. That's really what I did probably for the rest of college. That's kind of the mindset I was in. And then post-college was when I started making my own money. I always feel like Jesus is like, we need to work on this today. So he's giving me one stick and then he's like, okay, we're gonna work on this today. Like I think he slowly gives us the opportunity to show that we will worship him. And so what I mean by that is that, so I graduated college with a chemical engineering degree and double minors in chemistry and math. So you would think super easy to find a job out of college, but for some reason, like the Lord just he was not providing me with a job. It was extremely frustrating. So if any of you are in that situation, like I completely understand where you're coming from. It was a very hard season of my life because not that I was finding my worth in my job, but it was just like I worked so hard for so long. Like, Lord, like why aren't you providing me with what I think I deserve? And then I ended up kind of reluctantly applying for this internship at a church in my hometown, and I got accepted to the internship and I started doing the the internship in September after I graduated college. And in that internship, I made $1,000 a month, and then I also had my housing provided for. Looking back, that was a hard time to be in because I thought I deserved more, but I don't deserve anything because of what Jesus did. Everything he gives me is a gift. If everything he gives me is a gift, and he also, the Bible says, he will give me enough for that day. There's also a verse that's Luke 16:10. He who is entrusted with little will be entrusted with much. In him giving me a little bit of money, and I was faithful in the little money that he did give me, I would also be faithful if he gave me more. So I was in that internship for 1 year, and then that internship turned into a full-time job. Well, it didn't turn into a full-time job. I ended up getting hired at the church in a full-time position, and that was like a full-time salary, and I was in that job for a year before I left full-time vocational ministry to do engineering work at a government contractor. And I worked there from September 2019 to January 2021. It was probably around October, November of 2020. I was reading the book of Ecclesiastes, which can be a very complicated book to read. It's very realistic, almost too realistic, and can almost be sad because it talks a lot about what is the meaning of why we're here on this earth. And really it gets to the point of everything is meaningless. We are just a tiny speck in the whole solar system, in the universe, and what we think our problems are really not that big of a deal. And it also talks about finding joy in the small things that you do, because really nothing matters anyway, so why wouldn't you find joy in everything in your life? That, on top of the fact that I had 3 close people to me pass away around that time, just really made me realize the importance of doing what I'm passionate about. I had been unhappy in my job for a while. I tried to pinpoint why I wasn't happy in my job, or why I was still in my job despite being so unhappy. And I got to the point where I was like, I'm here just because it is a very steady, consistent paycheck, not because it's what I'm passionate about. I did a whole video on quitting my job, so if you want to go see that, I'll put it up here. At that point, I was in a financial position where I could quit my job and pursue what I'm passionate about, and so that's what I did. I said, I don't really care if I get a large paycheck or not. It's not worth it to me because the Lord has provided for me. He will provide for me for the rest of my life, and that is kind of where I'm at right now. And I will say, I think there are a lot of YouTubers out there trying to show how to make money quickly, make a ton of money quickly. I don't think striving to make more money is a bad thing, but it's when you start finding your identity in the money and in the things you have and in the status of that. I think that's a tricky area to be in. Money is not the end all be all. People are so much more than how much money they have. Their identity is found in who Jesus says we are, not how much money we have. There's no way we could ever find our satisfaction in how much money we have, because we are always going to be wanting more. Not to say that a minimum amount of money provides basic things like a roof over your head, food on the table, gas to go places. That provides a level of comfort that I think is necessary. The Bible does not say money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. I will leave this video at that. I'm certain that this video has been very long already. I hope this video gave you guys a better idea of my background, where I come from. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about me, and I really appreciate every one of you who have stuck around to comment on every video. I really do appreciate each of you, and I try to respond to every comment. If you haven't done so and you've made it to the end of this video, definitely hit the subscribe button below for videos on all things investing and personal finance, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys.